So with that, boys and girls, so the spoilerific parts of this, well, let's just break into it. I mean, is there really anything to really spoil? Let's be honest here. This is kicking off phase 5. Is it phase dive, boys? I mean,
It's Phase Kang. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's a dive. I mean, it's definitely a step, a huge letdown.
No, because the whole thing, like this is now kicking off the multiverse saga. Phase 4 was just introductions for the new Avengers. So everyone brace yourself. All the stupid people that you didn't like in Phase 4, they're your new Avengers. That's in the upcoming Avengers movies, it's going to be those people. Yeah, the main big storyline going forward here is the multiverse, or more specifically, it's going to be all the Kangs of the multiverse, and we do get to see them in a, like Tom. You remember the scene towards the end of Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, right?
with all the
Where you
Beavis
have
and Buttheads, yeah.
all of the different Beavis and Buttheads of the universe in a throne room, being led by the lead Beavis and Butthead, right?
Yeah,
that's the first post-credit scene, just with Kang.
That was fantastic. You had an Egyptian Kang. You had
that's Ramatut or whatever.
Ramatut.
So what Andre is saying is Beavis and Butthead still did it better.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was a pretty creepy, menacing post-credit. And to answer Chato's question, there was a blue Kang in there.
What's funny is they use Spider-Man to try to explain the multiverse to Beavis and Butthead, and they don't get it because they haven't seen it, so it don't matter.
That's funny. Really?
So there's more than one Kang?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's countless Kangs.
Countless. Oh, Paulie, you haven't seen Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe yet?
The second movie? Why do you keep going to Beavis? Would you stop?
Because it's fucking awesome.
It's one of the best movies.
You're throwing me off, bro.
Because it has to do with this, because the whole multiverse thing, because they say that what is a multiverse, and they haven't you seen the new Marvel Spider-Man movie? No.
Gotcha.
That would help if you've seen it. That would help explain.
I haven't seen the latest Beavis and Butthead stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry about that.
But anyway, point being then, because Kang, he died the first time we saw him in the Loki miniseries. And the spoiler, he dies here too, but that's a different Kang because it's just a variant. And that's
didn't he go out like a complete weenie?
Yeah, but this is what I said. I mean, Ant-Man, the least formidable, most joke of an Avenger, not only held his own against Kang, he ended up beating him towards the end. This is kind of what I mean. The only thing that Kang has going for him or for them, and then I mean that in the plural sense and not in the insanity sense, is that there's so many of them. There's like literally countless Kangs. They were all in a room there at one point. So they have like numbers going for them. And they have technology going for them because they basically have like this Doctor Who technology of traveling throughout time, space, and the multiverse. Right. But without their suit, they're nothing. I mean, like this Kang that we followed in this movie, he was just stranded dude.
Well, he was in exile.
Before he got his suit powered up.
Right, like a Kang bang.
Then he has like the god's powers of the suit, and then he's fine. He's still get out of the quantum realm.
So,
so is it possible that every movie is going to be a different version of Kang as the enemy? Because it could all be different characters, technically.
Interesting.
Yes, that's the whole point. That's why it's multiple saga. There's so many.
Let's get back to the movie, right? In the movie, Kang is exiled and stranded, and Michelle Pfeiffer's character literally saves his life. So he owes like somewhat of a life debt to her. But so he's like, I can get you back. I can get you back to your time. We just got to power up my ship. So she helps him. And at one point, once it's powered up, she touches the machine and hence taps into his mind and sees all the horrible things he's done. And she's like,
that was lame. Why would just touching his machine lead to her being able to read his mind?
Oh, none of it made sense.
because he uses mind control to control his machinery, but that you go from there to I'm going to touch your machine and then I can read your mind. I mean, to me, that again, that's just pushing it too far, because literally that is what happens. Like he,
so it's a contrived way for her to gain information that otherwise would have been held from her.
Correct. And I actually don't. I don't think she was touching the machine on purpose like that, Andre. From what I remember.
No, it was just an accident.
It was an accident.
Didn't try to read his mind. It's just I'm just going to put this thing here where it belongs. I'm like, oh, but when I touch your machinery, I get to read your mind.
Correct.
And I just thought that was completely ridiculous.
She should have just made him fill out an HR personality form. That would have been more interesting.
I don't think she had any on her. But,
yeah,
she's the product of the 80s. She's an 80s woman, so they wouldn't care about that at that point.
Yeah, no, this is true.
So she's there for 30 years, and you get that when they all go back, which is now present time, when they all go back to the Quantumverse, that she's got all these relationships, including one with Bill Murray.
Yeah. Because she had needs while she was there.
Right, she said that I had needs.
Wow. Yeah. Did he have a groundhog?
No, he had a white wig, or I don't know if that was his own hair. But well,
he didn't need anything else. He had her.
Mm-hmm. And the jump into the Quantumverse was literally within the first 5 minutes of the movie. I mean, it was so fast. There was no re-engagement to get reacclimated to the characters that we know and love.
Like and
especially with this new actor who's playing the daughter, it's like, let's spend some time, a little bit of father-daughter, not just him absolutely being clueless as to her and what she's doing as far as building a machine in the basement or wherever she's at, and then being jailed not once but once before. He doesn't know any of this is going on. Because he's so busy because he wrote a book and he's talking about his life with the Avengers.
And he's disrespected so much. Like he's basically like being treated like, oh, you're this joke and this loser and you saved the universe once, but then you wrote a book and now what you do? It's like, Jesus, what do you got to do to get some respect around here?
Yeah, my son treats me like that.
And there's all these nods to time and the little man, even all that stuff. It's like you heard it before. It was just nothing fresh. So they all jump into the Quantumverse by accident, because she has created a device where it's I believe like an antenna or radar signal that gathers up information and sends it back. And Michelle Pfeiffer's like, wait a minute, you did what? And they all get bloop.
This is what annoyed me the most, because basically, as you say that, and this is kind of like where it was worse than Tron, that they're like, hey, look, we have a surprise for you. Look what we made. And then Michelle Pfeiffer's like, shut it off right now. And then before they can, everyone is like sucked into it. So it was really stupid how they all ended up in there. But what I thought was like even worse was Michelle Pfeiffer's character, because here she has like her husband, who she cheated on in the quantum realm, but that's okay because he cheated on her as well.
Well, he didn't. He only went to dinners.
And they both thought that the other one was dead. So I guess that you can forgive that. But what was so ridiculous that now she's back again after 30 years and she doesn't say anything about what happened there. Maybe like this, we can never go back because there's this homicidal maniac who we can't take out of there, because if he does, it's going to destroy the universe. Maybe it would have been a good idea to share that information. You don't have to share all the details.
You're talking about playing off the second movie.
Well, this is between them.
She came back in the second movie.
Yeah, she came back,
right?
But she hasn't said anything about when she's just said, nothing happened there. I was just sitting in my alone for 30 years. That's kind of
this
like
is
what
after
she's
the
pretending happened.
right.
And
30 years, and then after the blip, you'd think that she would talk to her husband, confide in him, and say, "Look, we have an equal enemy in the Quantumverse."
Yeah, not only that, she doesn't
just
have
had the Thanos. Let's dismantle anything at the house so this kid or anyone else can't possibly do anything. But they actually have a laboratory and all that stuff at the house. So of course, this 15-year-old kid, just grabs and
Who's a genius.
Somehow she's a genius, and she creates this. How did she create?
Because, well, her granddad has been like helping her.
Okay. Well, that
teaching
kind
her
of makes sense, but he would not have done it had he had known. Okay.
No, exactly.
So
That's what I mean.
stupid.
I mean,
So stupid.
I would think that considering that you are literally the only family on the face of this earth that is exploring the quantum realm, no one else does it. The only way that this super dangerous dude that we are told is so dangerous, who must never be released from there, the only way that that's going to happen is if your husband, no one else but your husband and your immediate family, unwittingly goes back to the quantum realm. Maybe it would be a good idea to let them know that, we really need to stop going into the quantum realm, just dismantle everything, burn all the notes, because the universe will be better for it. And here's why. And then maybe she can leave out how she cucked him with Bill Murray and probably who knows how many others.
You don't have a movie, Andre.
Well, not only that, like you're describing.
No, you don't have a movie that way, but you know what you have? You have a
still have a
story.
movie because you do that, what Andre said, but then you have the teenager still,
breaks the
stealing the gadgets like Lang, like her daddy, and creating this little thing. That would have been cool. Like, because, like she kind of like emulates the dad a little bit.
Shows a little bit of dad, a little bit of surrogate grandfather. But Andre, what you're describing, what flaw you're describing with regards to Michelle Pfeiffer's character, is something that has been done with Reed Richards for like 40 years in the comic books. Like, he never tells the rest of his family what's going on until crap hits the fan. It's like he figures out how to solve Ben Grimm's rock formation, but it's like, I better keep this to myself because I don't want to risk hurting his feelings, and that's from like the Secret Wars.
Well, look, that's not fair, because quite frankly, the Fantastic Four were a dreadful set of comics up until the Galactica series.
Yeah, and also just because they did that in the comics is a very bad excuse to continue doing that in the film.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
To a different character.
It's just not unfamiliar to Marvel to go that route, because most Marvel comics are more influenced by the daytime soap opera method of storytelling than they are of the pulp mystery genre style storytelling.
But haven't they already done that in the films as well, where a character keeps secrets and
it keeps secrets for convoluted reasons? Yeah, the thing that I would prefer better that she kept a secret because she's dealing through post-traumatic stress disorder. Like, she is shocked and trying to readjust herself and reacclimate herself there. She just can't reconcile with the things that she had to do. And she's leaking little bits of information one at a time as she's able to reorient herself back into the normal.
That makes sense.
The normal realm.
That would have been preferable.
That would be creative.
There's a little bit of that, but they're already in the verse.
So that part happens while they're already inside it. It's not in the normal.
Right, Andre. She kind of starts giving out information after the fact.
Basically, it's like when it's too late, then she's like, okay, now I'm going to share the information after you needed it, and when it's already too late. So now I'm going to tell you how badly you screwed up.
Look what we're talking about, Andre. We're not talking about Ant-Man or the Wasp.
No, we're talking about someone who should know better.
And one of the things that bugs me with these nuclear level gadgets and things is that they never deal with the fabrication. Who knows how to bend the metal? Who knows how to, fabricate?
Yeah, but you're a tech porn nerd.
Yes, I'm a tech porn nerd, and it drives me nuts.
I know, but this should be full of tech porn. You're right.
Yeah, and it drives me nuts. Where suddenly you've got this 15-year-old girl. Well, who did the fabrication? Does she know how to run a lathe? There's like,
well, the grandfather was supposedly involved, but you're right. And that could go back to the first one, because technically, Scott Lang was a thief.
Yep.
Like there was a lot of that cool stuff in the heist and get in and get out. None of that was there, bro. None of that.
No science.
No science.
No, it was
Disney, Marvel has taken everything. Again, I keep saying.
And then
let's be real. It feels like the Marvel universe is written by 12-year-old girls now. No offense to girls,
glad you said
but
that.
that's what it feels like.
Because I'm going to disagree, because after the movie we got out. Was with Alan Ning and his daughter, and she's an amazing kid, and she said to us, "I'm 15 years old. I could have written a better movie than that."
That's what I said. 12, not 15. Now, a 15-year-old could probably write a better movie.
Right. But she's
look. I'm saying, like, the level of shit listening to you either. Listening to you and Andre talk, like the writing level comes from the mentality of somebody who has about 12 years of an experience as a girl on this earth, and the only thing she's worried about is this, and this, and she's not going to think about all these other things, right? Like, I mean, I'm trying to make a joke, but it's true at the same time. The whole Marvel universe feels like this now. So it's all pink woman power shit.
So you jump back into this movie, and it's like a mosaic of different terrains of the Quantumverse, different people, but it's just one after the other. There's no pause. There's no moment to breathe. And I found it all dizzying, and even though some of it was kind of cool. Zeb, the character, was cool. Could have been way more interesting.
He was cool, yeah.
And that is I guess a tribe. Everyone's if you're not Kang and part of his army, you're part of the resistance, right? So there was all these people that Michelle Pfeiffer's character is connected to. She was part of the resistance, so she reconnects with all of them, and that's how they topple Kang. I mean, basically, that's the stupid ass story.
Well, I could imagine that maybe the original script and maybe even the original cut of the movie had moments of calm in it that let you reconnect with the exciting stuff later on, because you can't have things, you can't be beaten up constantly. You get fatigued by too much stuff. And maybe, the powers that be said, no, we got to keep this thing hopping, and you just never know. Because there's so many entry points to creativity. There's the script itself, there's the direction, there's the way the actors interpret the script, then it gets to the editors, and then then management takes a look at what the editors have done. So I mean, there's just a lot of places to screw this up.
Oh yeah, it's a miracle to get a movie made, and it's even more of a miracle for it to be good.
I say. I mean, I always go back to that original Ghostbusters moment where they're in the elevator. And they just had the elevator music, and it was just
a great moment, right? Yeah.
I mean, that is something that I can't see any Marvel management.
But that's what it should be full of. You're right, Paul, and that's where the humor could come out of this stuff, right?
Well,
and that was
not just humor, but the point that you got.
I mean, I'm agreeing with you, Tom. I mean, I'm just traumatized
not only can you explain what this stuff does, but that's what the first movie has that this in the second film doesn't have. It sounds like the first movie you have situations where, like, there is a little bit of tech porn. There is the explanation through funniness of how he's dealing with I'm tiny all of a sudden. Oh, now I'm big, and the effects of that and what it has to deal with and go through, and the humor of that. It had a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids element to it.
Yep.
I mean, you have these things that could be and should be all about a part of Ant-Man. And I agree. A heist should be at the heart of this film. That was the first film. Sure, we don't always want to do the same thing in every movie, but there's certain gimmicks that make certain people who they are. And Scott Lang, let's face it, as we pointed out, Hank Pym is the brains of this whole operation. Scott, all he was good at was stealing shit, right? Like, that was his thing he was good at. So why can't you use that in this universe? There's ways you can use that that are so interesting. We've seen it done before. You can do it again.
We've seen it done with those two characters.
Steal Kang's suit while he's still wearing it. There's a heist movie. How do you pull that off? How do you steal a guy still wearing it?
Thank you. Anything you guys think of right now, anything is going to be better than what I saw. And we haven't talked about the moments of humor, right? So MODOK is a complete disaster. Just crap. He was really interesting. I'm sorry.
Does it look like MODOK?
No. Yes and no.
Not in the face.
Not in the face.
I would say there's two answers to that, because you have MODOK with the face mask and without the face mask. And MODOK with the face mask, and the face mask kind of like annoyed me because I want to see his face, but I will say this, the face mask looks like MODOK of the comic. Like the body is right, like the general design is right. When the face mask is on, and even like the mouth and eyes on the face mask look like MODOK in the comics.
This is the problem with modern.
Yeah, but then the mask comes up, and then you have the distorted face of Corey Stoll, who has the completely wrong face,
right?
And it looks ridiculous. And then he opens his mouth, and that's not MODOK. That's an enforcer, and a stupid one. It's just the most stupid henchman in the room. That's what MODOK is now.
He's a insecure henchman, enforcer.
Who wants to be an Avenger?
Those are the best kind to hire.
Then they make fun of his little arms, like, and then there's an ongoing joke. Every person that knew Darren, Yellow Jacket, every time they run into MODOK, Darren, they say, "Is that Darren? Darren? Darren?"
And that got old.
Jesus
really
Christ! What are we watching here? Then at one point, there's a fight. I don't know what, and MODOK is like just assed out on the floor. And what's her name? The daughter?
Cassie.
Cassie's there. And he's like, well, what do I do? Well, I don't know. I don't know what the line was, Andre, but she just says, just don't be a dick. Don't be a dick.
She should have said head towards the light. That would have been better, actually. But yeah.
Anything would have been better than that, because he's like, yeah, I'm not going to be a dick.
That's not a movie line. That's not particularly eloquent.
So then he comes back maybe 5 minutes later to save the day. I'm not going to be a dick.
Wow. This is juvenile writing.
I'm not making this shit up.
No, he really isn't.
I'm not.
I wish he was.
I'm like, as a 15-year-old saying that, and this is a Marvel film.
And I have to say, I really like MODOK in the comics. Like some of the comics with MODOK are amazing. He has such an interesting look, such an interesting backstory. And I would say of all the characters that I have seen in the MCU so far, with the hedge that they are the ones I know, this is the one that has been adapted the worst.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was now let's talk about some of those lines in context, because they were just like so out of it. So early on, Cassie, whatever her name is,
Cassie,
is thrown in jail for peaceful protesting for the homeless in San Francisco. Because and then it's also stated that Hope and her business, Pym, they're so apparently I thought they were feeding the homeless and housing them, but then the kid is Little Miss Antifa. None of that made sense. So that's
Little Miss Antifa.
Well, that's where the piece of that. I mean, you have. I
know, but this is funny because now instead of being Anti-Man, it's Antifa and Wasp.
Well, basically, it's Ant-Man, the Wasp, and Antifa, because that should be her name, because that's kind of like what she is. Or she seems to be like a Greta Thunberg, and that's a role model for kids everywhere.
Well, and they made this mistake with Thor's daughter, right? Like, and that's what I said at the end. They made her obnoxious. I'm like, that's not how you introduce us to a character like that.
She's not obnoxious, though.
She's not obnoxious.
She's not.
Yeah, but the same thing with somebody being an activist, it makes them automatically obnoxious.
No. Like the lines were just so like everyone had lines that weren't part of their character. Okay, like what? Like those lines, but all the actors were pretty good. It's just the material. Then there's a moment where the resistance were in the Quantumverse are going after Kang, and that's where you hear the lines, burn it all down.
Wow.
Revolution. It's like, dude, you're not even being subtle about this now, Marvel. It's like
wait, they're saying that about when they're fighting Kang? Like that's
fighting Kang's army.
So they want to burn down the tyrant and have a revolution against the tyrant? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and have a new world order afterwards.
Okay.
Is the Quantumverse called Portland?
And then the weird, so they're fighting, and of course they're losing, and they're winning, they're losing, but Hank and his aunts come and save the day. And that's where he takes a moment to explain how ants work, and he talks about socialism.
Yeah.
The hive mind.
He compares the hive mind to socialism. Okay. That makes more sense.
Actually, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
But he's saying we should learn from this. We should totally adopt this.
Wow, we should smell each other's sugar trails.
And he prefaces before. It's like, I know this is a hot topic.
No, it's not a hot topic. No one knows dick all about it.
Yeah, but why is he saying that?
I
know what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, bizarre.
As a character, I was I was so mad. I'm like, I want to watch a movie about people beating each other up and saving the day. Yeah, man.
But socialism is a good thing.
Yeah, but
no, or it works. Is that what he said? It works. That was the term, I think it was.
Well, that is the premise of the movie. The premise of the movie and the subtext of the movie is basically just that. Right now we are being run by evil capitalist overlords. They must be overthrown, burned to the ground, and then we should learn from the ants and install socialism. That is the subtext of the movie. That is the message.
I don't argue that. I don't argue that at all. At all. What could have been very interesting, you could see it there, was totally written out with all these reshoots, man.
So it really didn't have the subtlety of Costa Garva's M.
There was nothing subtle about this movie. Everything was straight in your face. And so many like stupid things, and even Deus Ex Machinas. Like, for instance, Cassie Lang, the little Antifa girl, the daughter, she's in the quantum realm, and I'm like thinking it would be really practical if she had a suit. And we are basically, the setup is she doesn't have a suit until midway through the movie when she suddenly needs one. It's like, oh yeah, I just remembered my granddaddy made me a suit. Here it is. Now I have a suit too.
And of course, Scott Lang,
the script needs it.
Right. Scott Lang, who's totally, cucked by then, is like, why do you have a suit? There's nothing to defend because it's just completely idiotic. It's just not entertaining. So when it's not entertaining, those things come out more, just like with Wakanda. Not entertaining, all the inaccuracies, all the garbage comes out more.
I have to say, I prefer this to Wakanda, though, 1,000,000 times over. The two are not in the same league at all, if you ask me, because Wakanda Forever was so bad, it was infuriating. This is just frustrating.
Andre, I was infuriated with both. So I we're gonna argue over,
Well, I'll say this then, like, Mexicans and Latin Americans were treated pretty horribly in Wakanda Forever. It was like when Pablo pointed out the full depravity of the subtext to me, I was in shock, and I was, as a human being, appalled by how Latinos and anyone basically who has Spanish as their native tongue or who hails from Latin blood in any way were treated in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, basically, you guys, you were blue in it. I mean, at the very least, in this movie, you just didn't exist.
Right. No, not that we didn't exist. We were actually erased. We were actually erased from the story.
You were
had
erased
one of the better
from
characters.
The story.
They were blue people.
And the character that needed to be there was...
Right. Yeah, fucking erased. And that's Hollywood, man. That's Hollywood. Right.
You have to ask, tell me, like, what's better, being erased and not acknowledged, or being portrayed as an illegal immigrant who comes through the river with a back who is moist from the water and that needs to be dried off? Which is worse? I would imagine that it's better not to be acknowledged at all and to be erased than to be portrayed as explicitly a villain.
Oh, I mean, those are the two choices I have. Come on,
Well, this is Marvel, yeah.
Jesus
These are your
Christ.
choices. There's nothing else.
What a shitty scenario. I refuse the scenario. I refuse.
You know what's sad is they actually legitimately gave more of a shit and did a better job in the 1960s with some of this stuff. I was just watching the making of the Magnificent Seven the other day, and they talked about how since there was a lot of, you know, the Mexican village, you have Americans coming in to help Mexicans. The Mexican government was refusing to let them shoot there because of that. So like, all right, fine. You give us a couple of guys to come in, guys and gals, to come in and tell us how to do this right. And they did. This was 1960.